Let's dive into 9 English words that sound totally different in American, British, and in my accent. This is the first word. Americans pronounce it as schedule. Brits pronounce this as schedule. I pronounce it as schedule. Next, what is this? Americans will call this water. British people will call it water, and I call it water. Let's look at this now. Americans will call this garage. British people will call this carriage, and I will call this garage. This is more fun. Americans call this advertisement. British people call this advertisement, and I call it advertisement. Look at this amazing thing. Americans call this tomato. British people call it tomato. I call it tomato. This is something you are using to watch this video, aren't you? Americans call this mobile. British people call this mobile. I call this mobile. This has polarized the world. In fact, I used to pronounce this word in a different way when I first heard of it, and now I pronounce it in a different way. Americans pronounce this as data. British people pronounce this as data. I originally started pronouncing it as data, and now I pronounce this as data. Let's get personal now. Americans call this privacy. British people call this privacy, and I call it privacy also. I think you're tired, you need some vitamins, as the Americans say. British would say vitamins, and I also say vitamins. Maybe it's the colonial hangover. Language is wild, is it not? Same words, totally different vibes. Which of these pronunciations surprised you the most? Let me know in the comment section.